There was a time when money meant something real. It represented work done, value created, effort exchanged. If you held $1, it stood for something that already existed. But then, quietly, that changed. Money stopped representing reality, and most people never noticed when it happened. At first, money was simple. It was tied to real things: gold, land, labor. You couldn't create it out of thin air. To earn it, you had to produce something useful. To lose it, you had to give something up. Money was honest, and its limits were clear. Then the system evolved. Paper replaced metal. Promises replaced weight. Money became easier to create, easier to move, and easier to separate from real value. Life felt faster, more convenient, but money became less truthful. Credit expanded. Banks learned they could lend money they didn't fully have. Governments learned they could spend money they hadn't yet collected. The future was pulled into the present. Growth felt endless, even when nothing new was being built. Prices began to rise, not because things became better, but because money became weaker. Assets grew more expensive, not always more valuable. People worked harder, but felt poorer. Paychecks grew, but buying power shrank. Reality stayed the same, while money drifted further and further away from it. Markets stopped moving on value and started moving on emotion, fear, excitement, stories. Numbers on screens mattered more than real goods, real skills, real work. You could feel rich on paper while struggling in real life. Debt filled the gap. When money no longer matched reality, borrowing became the bridge. Loans replaced savings. Monthly payments replaced ownership. People stopped asking, "What is this worth?" This shift changed our behavior. Long-term thinking disappeared. Speed mattered more than strength. Appearances mattered more than stability. The system rewarded risk, leverage, and confidence, even when nothing solid stood underneath. Those who understood this change adapted. They focused on assets that produce real value. They learned skills that solve real problems. They built income streams that don't depend on endless borrowing. They stopped chasing numbers on a screen and started building solid foundations. Money didn't become evil, it just became abstract. And abstract systems are incredibly easy to misunderstand. When money stops representing reality, the biggest danger isn't a sudden collapse. The danger is confusion. A slow, creeping confusion that makes it hard to tell what's real and what's an illusion. It makes sound decisions feel risky and reckless, gambles feel smart. So the question for all of us now is simple. Are you building wealth that exists only on screens? Or are you building wealth that still works when reality shows up? Are you chasing numbers or are you creating value? Because when the system eventually resets, and it always does, the numbers can disappear in an instant. But value, true value, always remains. Think about what you're building. Make sure it's real. Thanks for watching, and if this gave you something to think about, consider subscribing for more.